This is a world where technology is front and center. There is a noticeable ambition towards innovating a solution to the range of challenges encountered by the public transport sector, including the fuel dilemma, various environmental concerns, and other efficiency-related problems. As such, government grants will fund future research. Additionally, the global community introduces conventions encouraging the development of more sustainable transport technologies, particularly in the area of fuel. To this end, technological innovations occur. Patronage flow management systems are incorporated at railway stations, meaning peak periods of congestion are mitigated by distributing commuters evenly throughout these times. Additionally, driverless trains and buses enable increased efficiency by removing human error. As a result of the technologically advanced transport systems, the comfort and speed of commuting encourages higher usage rates. Further, new renewable fuel technologies are also innovated, removing the bus sector's reliance on oil. Consequently, the cost of fuel ceases to be an issue and the negative impacts of climate change are mitigated. However, the government's emphasis on technology comes at the cost of infrastructure development. To this end, the forces of suburbanization push the majority of homeowners to the outer suburbs beyond the reach of the existing infrastructure system. Further, research and development fails to provide the economic returns associated with infrastructure developments. In fact, technological dependence reduces economic growth as transport sector jobs are overtaken by automation. Additionally, new technologies are expensive and not incorporated fairly. Thus, the patronage management systems are limited to the inner city, whilst outer regions suffer large delays and inefficiencies in 2040. Compounding this problem is the fact not all innovations are successful or effective. For example, in 2005, Melbourne Transport had to replace a previous technological initiative known as smart bus displays that provided real-time information on bus locations. This project suffered a number of faults and required a software redesign. It is fairly certain that similar hurdles will arise between now and 2040. Indeed, this scenario demonstrates the ticking time bomb that will result if too much reliance is placed on innovation, as this could encourage economic decline and come at the cost of future infrastructure development. A political inclination favouring infrastructure investment over technological research and development is the key factor in this scenario. Proposals like the 2014 Rebuilding New South Wales project, comprising a $20 billion investment in new infrastructure, including a second harbour rail crossing, are common. One motivating factor for this orientation is the economic return achieved through the construction and privatisation of new infrastructure. Along these lines, every $1 invested in transport projects results in an estimated $4 return in economic growth due to improved access to employment, the transfer of goods, and development along transport corridors. Moreover, global political issues become a significant determinant. The international community cannot agree or enforce environmental protection reforms, and thus, there is no pressure to develop new transport technology. Consequently, this is a world where increasing public transport demand is met with new transport infrastructure. Specifically, it is forecast that Australia's population will reach 30.5 million by 2031, and by corollary, demand for public transport will increase by 55% in Sydney alone. To this end, there are huge networks of rail lines, including 35 platforms at Sydney's Central Station by 2030, in addition to numerous rail networks extending to the outer reaches of Sydney's metropolitan area, where social forces have pushed the majority of new homeowners. However, this process is unsustainable. By 2040, there are significant problems and the industry performs a U-turn. The economic prosperity enjoyed in the 2020s is long forgotten after a global financial crisis in 2030 and subsequent Australian recession not long after. Australia's credit rating falls to AA, and it can no longer afford to borrow money for infrastructure projects or to maintain its recent developments. This means the transport industry is a skeleton of abandoned infrastructure. Moreover, the failure to incorporate technology increases inefficiencies in the sector. Further, a technological innovation to the fuel dilemma does not arrive and the industry remains dependent on oil to operate. By 2040, the cost per barrel has risen to $146. This is economically unsustainable and the bus sector halves in size. Further, this reliance on fossil fuels expedites the process of climate change. Natural disasters increase in frequency, causing severe damage to transport infrastructure.
Now I'm going to talk about low infrastructure and low technology in the future for Australia public transport. Since Australia is a developed country, so public transport must keep up with the developed things in Australia. In this scenario, we will estimate what will happen in the future for public transport. First, I'm going to talk about low infrastructure. Infrastructure is about the structure of public transport. For example, the train and the train rack, the buses, the roads, the bus stops, and also taxis. With low infrastructure, it's pretty hard to develop all these kind of things. It is because we only have limited funds for infrastructure. And second is about technology. Technology has been one of the most important things in our life these days. In this case, we're trying to provide technologies in our public transportations. However, the technology that we provide in public transport is a basic technologies such as TVs and Wi-Fi's. The technology that we provide in public transport is pretty basic for customers. It is because the low available funds for developing technologies in public transport. Overall, with low infrastructure and low technology couldn't meet the satisfaction of both sides, the customers and the public transport government. In this case, we're going to use spatial analysis to evaluate some impacts. First is political. The funds that provided by government is pretty low. In this case, it's gonna be hard for public transport to get developed and also couldn't meet the people's satisfaction. And also it impacts with the economic section. Because the customers couldn't meet the satisfaction of public transport, the demand of public transport will be less and they will get less profit. However, in social section, it is estimated that Australian population will be grow in the future, and it could bring the good impacts for public transport because the more demand for public transport. Next section is technological. With the poor technological system, could lead them to the lack of management system of public transport and the networks. Next is environmental section. The more transportation that we use could make us to lack of resources. There is no alternatives and no renewable resources in this world, and the price of resources will be double.
Public transport is the best choice for our daily life to travel. The development of economy and the society, making people's living standard continuously improved. The number of cars is growing fast, but a large number of private cars on the road making heavy traffic jam and air pollution. So it is necessary to develop the infrastructure and the technology of public transport. The development of public transport not only can reduce people's travel costs, but also reduce energy consumption and air pollution. Government will be spent to 10 million every year. The plans will support many benefits for public. Government has made the financial budget in 2015 to develop the public transport infrastructure and the technology, improve the operation quality and the efficiency. It also stimulated the mass consumption directly and promoted the economic growth of urban areas, such as business and the housing industry. With the continuous development of high technology and the infrastructure, promoted the innovation of science and the technology. Also, the air pollution index can be greatly reduced by the use of new energy in city buses.